Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm with my Discovery 5 HSE Luxury, and today I'm going to be telling you what it's been like owning this car for the last 2 years, what's been good with this car and what hasn't been so good, what's broken in the years that I've owned this vehicle. So if you're thinking of buying this car or interested in general in the Discovery 5, watch this video. So what does my car have that's different to the standard HSE Luxuries? Well, it has the black lettering on the front, the dynamic grille with the black badging, and it also has the dynamic side blades here at the front. Apart from that, it's pretty standard. So it's got the 22-inch wheels from Land Rover. It's got privacy glass at the back, which I believe was an option, I think a £300 option to do. From the rear, nothing's changed. It does have a detachable tow bar as well, which I did fit at aftermarket, but you can't see anything when you're looking from the outside. And then inside, there's a few options. So HSE Luxuries, as I say, come with loads of gear anyway. But this has the glacier leather coloured seats, which is a colour I wasn't quite sure about when we first chose this car, but actually the more I've been in it, the more I like it. So it's kind of a cream with a bit of blue in it as well. It's a colour you can only get on the HSE Luxury cars. So it's quite special. You don't see it in any other cars. I really like it because it's like a cream, but it doesn't get dirty like cream. So it's quite a nice colour to have inside. Apart from that, this car is pretty standard. Now, those parts that were fitted on the front, so the dynamic side blades and grille, I fitted completely by myself and bought the parts online, and you can see a video tutorial for that. If you've got a Discovery 5 and you want to do that to it, check out my other video and you can fit them yourself. So while we're outside the car, let's take a look at some of the things that I really like about this car that I've absolutely loved during owning it for the last 2 years. So the first one is the looks. I genuinely don't think there's a better looking family 4x4 on the market. I'd even go as far as saying the Range Rover Sports and the Vogues. Some Discoveries, if they're done right and have the right kit on them, can look better than those cars as well. And to be honest, even inside, there's not much different from a comfort point of view either. So for me, a brilliant looking family car that I just don't think you can beat in the 4x4 market at the moment. Now that's a very polarizing opinion because some people think these look awful. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think at home. Practicality wise, these cars are amazing. As you can see, complete off-road machines. You know, you don't get stuck in this car anyway. You don't worry about it being winter like it is in the UK where you're flooding or whatever. It's a car that can literally do anything. In the backs, these cars are massive, so you've got space for 7 in this car quite comfortably. Get car seats in it. The HSE Luxury also has the TVs, which, to be honest, when I bought this car, it wasn't something I really wanted, but actually after having them, I would really like to have them again if I ever bought another Discovery or any other car, because they're really handy to have in the back. You can play anything on them, DVDs, anything over the internet, to be honest. They're a really, really good addition for long journeys. The other thing that I really like about the back of Discoveries, which hasn't changed in all the years they've been made, is this little rear step. So I think they called it, I don't know, they call it event seating or something, but that step is amazing because normally, as you can imagine, your boot just comes to there, you sit on there, get really dirty. This seat you can sit on, it can hold the weight of 2 adults really easily, and it is just a really nice place to be. You've got the shelter underneath it, so if you go anywhere, you're outside, you're camping, whatever, great addition to have that, and I'm glad they carried that through. Although they didn't do the split tailgate like they did in the old Discoveries, they kept that part. Now, another opinion about Discoveries is the back end. Now, I really like the side-mounted rear plate because it reflects what the old Discoveries used to look like. Some people hate this. If you do, there is a company that makes these centered, so you can make it like that. To be honest, I think when you do that, it, to be honest, looks a bit more like a Discovery Sport, but people still like that, and if you wanted to center mount your plate, you can. It's not a problem at all. Back end of them is okay. You know, it's a really clean back end, and even when you've got the tow bar underneath the car like I have on this, you can't see it, which I quite like, whereas the old one you used to have to take a big plastic piece off, or it used to be hanging out from underneath, which kind of ruined the looks of the car, I think. The other thing in the back of the car is you have, so that step doesn't come down until you press your little control panel, which is this one here. and the step comes out, which is quite nice. Now what I like on here is you've got loads of controls. So you control your seats, your 3 seats in the middle or your 2 seats at the back. You can bring them up electronically, which is quite nice. So I know there's car seats in there, but if you press that forward, the seat goes forward as if it would. It's not working at the moment because the car seat's there, but anyway, they change where the car seats are. And then you've also got these controls, so you can drop the backs of the seats, but you can also, this is a really good feature, so this is to be able to raise and lower the car. So if I press raise up and hold it, as you can see, probably here, car lifts up and it can go right into the off-road height there. So if you're getting into the back of the car, you need to be lower, just hold that down and the whole rear end of the car drops, which I think is a really, really nice feature. And actually, again, one that I never ever thought I would use, but actually I've used it quite a lot since owning it. Really tough cars, you know, this has got a Land Rover mat in the back, so it kind of protects the carpet there, but you can literally chuck anything in these and they're absolutely huge inside. There's so much room right there through to the front. The other thing that Land Rover do really well is there is charging sockets in all places in the back of these cars. So these in here, that's a USB charger there for a phone or whatever. So that's for the back seats. There's loads in the middle as well. And it just makes it really convenient if you've got passengers in the back that want to do stuff like charge their phones or whatever. So now we're inside the car, let's talk about some of the things that I love about driving this car, some of the things that are particularly inside that are really, really nice features to have in the Discovery, but then also some of the things that have gone wrong, some of the faults I've had with this car since I've owned it over the last 2 years. So the first thing is the drive position and driving this car. It is such a nice place to be. I think Discovery 4s, Discovery 3s, they were still quite rough and ready. There were still cars that didn't have the same level of premium trim that you get in, let's say, your Range Rovers or your Range Rover Sports. But for me, actually, this car now is pretty much on par with something like that, particularly if you're getting the HSE or the HSE Luxury cars. The trim is amazing. You know, inside you feel like you could be sat in one of those cars. You could be sat in a Vogue, for example, which has been a good thing for us buying the cars. But I think for Land Rover, it's been a bit of a difficult one because it's made the separation point between something like a Discovery and a Range Rover. When you drive them, there's not a lot of difference, but the price is still significantly different. However, most people will see if you're looking at cars like this, they are quite expensive. For the Discovery 5s now, if you want the HSE Luxury, I know they've changed it recently with the 2021 model, but the HSE Luxury starts at 73,000 or 72,000. So it's quite a lot of money for a Discovery. But when you drive these cars, you'll see that actually they're well worth it because they do have exactly the same feeling as what you might get in a £95,000 Vogue, for example. So for me, I absolutely love this car. And one of the key things when I was looking for this particular car, this is a 2018 car, is it's when the virtual cockpit changed. And so before this there was the analog dials, and that really did make it feel old and more like a Discovery, whereas from that era all the Range Rovers had digital virtual cockpits, and at that point Discovery actually changed theirs to the virtual cockpit, and it was sometime in 2018. So if you are looking, don't rush into it. Make sure, it's one of the key differences actually between the models in that year is whether they had the virtual cockpit put in them, and if they have, it future-proofs it a lot more, because even now with the new 2021 model, the virtual cockpit is pretty much the same. Yes, the infotainment's different, but it's the same setup with the screen throughout the whole Range Rover series. So that's a really important thing, I'd say. If you're looking at buying one, get a virtual cockpit in your car. These cars are so comfortable, and as I've mentioned and showed you outside, you can get them absolutely battered and covered in mud, and you get in and you're sitting in a really, really comfortable, warm space. The HSE Luxury particularly has heated seats in the front and cool seats in the front. Again, when I was looking for this car, it wasn't a feature I really needed, like the TVs and the headrests, but again, it's been a feature that I've really liked having, and it's probably been it's a bit of an issue because now I'm probably going to struggle moving on to the next car not having those features. So cool seats in summer is a really good addition, but certainly heated seats is almost a must. So for me, that's one thing. The other thing is in the back, this has heated seats as well, which is quite nice for the passengers if you've not got car seats in the back like I have. So inside, really spacious, you feel really safe, and you feel like you're almost in a boat when you're driving this car, which is a good thing and a bad thing. They're really comfortable cars just to cruise around in, but they aren't the best when it comes to maneuverability or, you know, turning circle or parking, but you can probably imagine that with a 7-seater car of any type. For me, this is still the best in class when it comes to 7-seater cars though. So now let's move on to the bad bits, things that have happened to this car which have not been so good. Well, this is the 2-litre engine, which since buying this, there's been a lot of issues around, particularly with this car, as you might have seen in a previous video that I made, of them having problems. So the 2-litre engine I went for in this car because I test drove a 3-litre and a 2-litre back-to-back. Honestly, the real difference is with the 3-litre, it's a little bit less noisy, so this engine revs a little more in lower gears. If you're towing, it revs a bit more, but to be honest, the engine, the 2-litre power plant in this car is adequate for most day-to-day driving. You really don't know the difference between a 2-litre and a 3-litre. I've seen some off-road trials with a 3-litre and 2-litre too, and again, there's barely any difference. Yes, you get more torque and a bit more power with a 3-litre, but it's not a necessity for day-to-day driving. And the benefit of that is it only needs servicing every 2 years instead of every year, which you do with a 3-litre engine. And also your fuel economy is much, much better. So I easily get into the 30s, 35 mpg in this car, which is pretty good for a car that's this size. Since having this car and since the 2-litre engine has been produced by Land Rover, there have been some problems with the 2-litre engines, and one of them being the engine's basically self-destructing, which I have covered in another video of mine, why I hate my Discovery 5, which is where essentially the engine seemed to crack somewhere in the engine block. No one really knows why at Land Rover, and they actually needed to put a whole new engine in. And I'm not the only person this has happened to. There's been a few people with the 2-litre engine in Discoveries actually particularly that have had to have new engine rebuilds. Fortunately for me, that was covered under warranty, as it was for a lot of people that I've read about and seen. But you know, if it doesn't happen in that 3-year period and you're buying a 2-litre car approved used, I would just be a little bit cautious about that, because the bill for doing it is something around £20,000 to get the full engine rebuild that this car needs if it does have that problem. So for me, the 2-litre engine, great to have in that 3-year warranty period, and this car now has slipped out of warranty and I've got an approved warranty, but it does have a new engine. But I think if I was buying approved used, I probably would look for something that was 3-litre, because I just worry about that issue, and I've seen it a few times, as I mentioned, in forums and online here on YouTube, that people have issues with the 2-litre engine. The next thing in this car is the infotainment. So the infotainment system, it is okay, it's in a decent place, you know, it's quite easy to use, but I find it quite slow sometimes, and it also has a lot of errors and issues when you're using it. So sometimes things like it won't turn on when you start the car, or you know, it'll just flicker up with an error message that's not an error. And so you have a few issues like that with this car, which are quite frustrating, and it's also just a little bit slow. It does, however, work, you know, it works well. I don't really have any particular issues with it, but it certainly does feel a bit dated, and you also notice that as well when you're looking at the Apple Play. So Land Rover and Apple have always seemed to have a problem, and with this car they've got Apple Play on it because I had my system upgraded when it went into Land Rover last for its service, so it does have an Apple Play option. However, it's not very good. So you plug your phone in with a lightning cable into your USB in the car, it does come up with Apple Play and it comes up on the screen, looks great, but the problem is it doesn't seem to work as well as it does in a car that's actually designed for Apple Play, and that's a bit frustrating. The lead sometimes comes a bit loose, it doesn't feel like it really sort of integrates that well. The other thing that's a bit frustrating with that is when you've got two screens. Obviously you've got your driving screen too, and normally when you put stuff in your sat nav, it comes up on the main screen and comes up on your driving screen too, on your cockpit, and that's really nice because you can see directions at the same time as seeing everything else when you're looking straight and looking down. But when you use Apple Play and you put your maps on, so if you use Apple Maps, which a lot of people do because it's got all the up-to-date traffic and everything like that on it, or Google Maps, whatever, it doesn't come up on this screen, so it only stays on there, which is quite frustrating. So again, it doesn't feel like it properly integrates as well as it could. So mechanically, since I've had this car, I've mentioned the engine broke, which is significant, and I've talked about that a lot in the other video. But the other thing that happened since I've owned it, and it's never had any other repairs, is the rear suspension. So one of the rear air suspension cylinders, I think it was, started leaking, the rear right, and so what it meant is the car wouldn't lift up and down, and it drove quite stiff actually, so it's like it dropped all its suspension pressures. When that happened, just called Land Rover out and they actually came and repaired it, but it was a problem that happened, it had cracked. The other quite serious mechanical problem that that happened with this car was it had an oil leak. So it had an oil leak probably about 1.5 years from being new, and there was a crack actually in, I think it was part of the gearbox. It had cracked and it was dripping oil and leaking. It was found actually at service, and that again got changed and sorted under warranty. But a little bit of a worrying problem still to have at that early age in the car, but that's what happened. Apart from that, mechanically this car's been absolutely fine. I'd say the biggest problems people have with these is, if you don't have any mechanical issues, it's just the electronics can sometimes play up a little bit. So like the camera on this right wing mirror that looks down when you're in like 4x4 mode, or if you're reversing, sometimes is just doesn't work very well. It doesn't come on, and sometimes it does come on, and it's really hard to find the problem and show the dealership, because often when you show them it's working. So it's those kind of glitchy problems that come and go, which are quite frustrating. So overall, after owning this car for 2 years, I can say I've absolutely loved owning it. I would definitely buy another Discovery again, probably not the 2021 model that's just come out, because honestly the differences are so small for the price difference you'd have to pay to upgrade from this car. So your difference is your infotainment block is a lot better, so they seem to solve that problem, which is really good. A few cosmetic changes in the lighting and the shape and the outline of the car. It's so subtle that no one would really know. So despite having these problems that I talk about and like the engine issues, I still love it. It's still, I think there's no better family car that you can buy of this size on the market at the moment that looks as good, that performs this good, and has the all-round ability that this car does. I went on the Land Rover driving experience day 2 when I got this car, and it's just phenomenal how much you can do in this car. You know, wading in water and things, it's so capable, but also can house your family and just feel really comfortable and premium inside. So it's a brilliant all-round car, despite those few little glitches that this car has. But maybe that's the same with any manufacturer now. With so much electronics on board, they all seem to have a few problems, and some people have no problems at all with their cars, but it's just luck of the draw, I guess, whether you do or not. So this car has just slipped out of warranty, and because of the few issues that I've had, I'm a little bit worried that something else might happen, so I've gone for the Land Rover extended warranty. Now when you do that, there's a few options. So there's the basic sort of manufacturer warranty is extended for a year, which is £890 for the year. But then you can also carry on with your Land Rover Assist subscription and your breakdown recovery with Land Rover, and that's around another £200-300. So it works out about 1,100 for the year to have like the full extended warranty cover. Now I actually went for the basic Land Rover extended warranty, £890, and went for the AA for the breakdown recovery. And the reason for that is a couple of things. So the first thing is that breakdown recovery option you can have can be transferred to any vehicle that you move it onto. So if I did sell this car tomorrow, I could move that breakdown recovery onto another car that I bought. But more important than that is, from an insurance point of view, it probably saved me about £200 or £300 a year on my insurance premium, because I was insured by the AA for all that recovery and breakdown stuff, which I wouldn't have got if I just got the Land Rover breakdown recovery. So it's well worth thinking about that when you are thinking about going for your extended warranty. I'd say that the basic Land Rover one is good, but the breakdown recovery and stuff you can get elsewhere, and it can help you out in other places, such as your insurance premium, which is really good. So I hope for people that are looking for a Discovery, or if you're just interested in the Discovery 5, this video has been useful. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. If you own one of these cars, if you had any problems, what you love about your Discovery particularly, drop it in the comments below. It really helps me out if you like this video, so give me a thumbs up, but also subscribe as well to the channel. I also have a Land Rover Defender 2007 car, a TD5, which I absolutely love, which you can see more about on my channel right here. But yeah, I'll be putting more content out coming very soon, doing some more things with this Discovery, but also my Defender as well. And I also do some car reviews and test drives in other cars too. So like and subscribe this video, and I'll see you soon.